Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Oh Yes Honey. My name is Tracie Collins.
My name is Jessie Remer, and we are excited today. Tracie and I have been talking behind the scenes about a book that is on our shelf that we want to digest and connect with, which is Pleasure Activism by Adrienne Marie Brown.
Mhm.
And so today we've picked out one nugget that we want to talk about today. And in this is about radical self love and bodily autonomy, because I
Mhm.
think one of the things around the foundation of our body sensations is that until we accept that, we can't even get into other parts of pleasure. So, these topics today, Tracie, embracing your body, embracing desires and our sensuality, is a rejection of shame culture, a rejection of white supremacy, and the rejection of the lens which comes through historically policing and pathologizing our bodies. And so,
Yeah.
what does that look like for us when we think of pleasure as activism?
Well, I think you and I have been pleasure activists for so long. We don't, it's, and we work with women or have worked with women so much who are on the opposite side of the spectrum. And so we embody and live in a space of our pleasure is number one, our birthright, but it's also it is, and we don't allow ourselves to feel any other way. So we have curated a career based on amplifying other women's pleasure. However, we also understand, and I think we're such starch advocates in this space because we understand the systems that are designed around us to keep us suppressed, especially from a pleasure aspect. And now women are starting to see that their pleasure not only is their birthright, but it's also a point of how am I going to advocate for myself? How do I embrace this part of me and be unapologetic about it?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like right away I was thinking about the conversation starters that I have, and I'll just show people if they don't know
Oh
me.
yeah,
I often get my elevator speech into pleasure activism and is like, "What's this?" And people are like, "What is that?" So yesterday this happened, and I had a conversation with the guy that was helping me with my car stuff about oxytocin. So this is oxytocin, and that we've turned that into such a clinical conversation around, like, in the birth field it's about all different sorts of amplifying birth induction, the synthetic versions of oxytocin which don't bring in the pleasure piece. And
yeah.
so what does that look like to actually know that this pleasure is like built into our system? Like,
Hmm.
oxytocin is an example of how pleasure is everything that connects us in life, connects us to our
Hmm.
bodies, connects us to our the humans that we decide to birth, connects us to the partners that we decide to connect with, and
Nature.
nature. Like, there's so many ways in which that oxytocin piece, like, that's a spiritual statement to think that that's built into our system
Yeah.
and that pleasure is all around us. Nature shows that. Like right now in May, we're like bursting with pleasure here. All of the flowers are in full exquisite bloom.
Mhm.
Everything's just like showy and delicious right now.
I want to go back to what you said when it comes to like the clinical aspect of oxytocin. So just to give our audience more context, it means pitocin. A lot of people are familiar with the term pitocin, which is the artificial form of oxytocin. And the reason why it doesn't give you those pleasure sensors is because number one, it's artificial. Your body isn't producing it. But when your body naturally produces oxytocin, especially in a labor sense, when a woman is laboring or when a birthing person is laboring, your body builds up natural endorphins and adrenaline to deal with the heightened sensation of contractions. But pitocin, it takes you from 0 to 60, and your body doesn't have that cushion that it would naturally build up to allow you to support it. So when people are induced with pitocin, they're more likely to get pain management to deal with that 0 to 60 because their body doesn't give them those nice little cushions.
Oh, and I'm just having an aha moment right now, because if you think of that 0 to 60, think about how that is our externalized culture around pleasure. We've got
Yeah,
porn, which is 0 to 60.
yeah,
And of course, all those women are having incredible orgasms 0 to 60, right? No matter what combination of people are in that space. And then there's the 0 to 60 when it comes to, conception and birth or pleasure, even in the sexual realm around bodies. There is, we've already kind of started to talk about slow sex, but how
hmm,
like the the unfurling process, and then the amplification and the longevity. We're going to get to this, I think, soon, around orgasms and different types of orgasms, but how that really is a slower process. And then so then you get to birth, and then it's like, let's 0 to 60 the birth too. um, and then we're not even supposed to have them in perimenopause, so according to the external culture. But these are the little known secrets that are available to women when we start to realize, oh, when you take all of the pressure of everything out of it, what kind of sensuality is available to us in after reproduction cycles, like in the postpartum, in the perimenopause and menopause period.
right. Let's talk about bodily autonomy as it relates to like pleasure activism. Like,
Yes.
how do you see those two correlating with one another?
For me, it's to recognize personal agency comes with, I know my body. I am resting in an internal compass of what that body experience is, and I have language for it, and that nobody has the right to cross that boundary without consent. And what we witnessed in birth is so far from that. And that we've also been in a space where we've been conditioned in female bodies to, and maybe probably all bodies, but especially just from this lens, like conditioned to have only externalized language. Um, like like people aren't even willing to touch their own body or talk about their body or see their bodies. That's far from like the radicalization of like, no, you like, what would it be like if you like we if you really knew your full power in your body?
Hmm.
And I'm in the same boat. I mean, I'm still exploring this. I've used language and tools, but for me personally, I'm still like, I've conditioned myself into the head, and productivity is my value. And so like, I'm still in that learning process of like, let me think about my body. I have my one of my best friends, um, who's always referenced this, like they lead their life with this freedom around pleasure being a part of their lives. And um, and they're one of my mentors in this space too. It's like, I was meanwhile like over there going, well, we got to get shit done. And that's all the that's conditioning, and it's some communication styles. But leaning into that, that's my goal for the next 50 years, is leaning into this and hoping to just willing to create spaces where people are willing to talk about it.
Yeah. And for me, I look at pleasure as the power of no and the power of yes to everything that I want and like and deserve, and that the universe is on my side, and everything that I experience should be pleasurable. And if it's not, then I need to adjust it. I look at it in totality of me, and I look at it from, I always say this, from a sensory aspect. And we should stop centralizing pleasure being just focused on sex.
Yes.
And when we stop looking at it from just, it has to be produced by an external party, and you're going to tell me what I like, and you're going to tell me how it should go, versus, no, I know what I like, I know what feels good, and it just doesn't start and stop with my vulva, or a pleasure that somebody else can produce outside of myself. Like,
Mhm.
they're just the icing on the cake. My life should be pleasurable, meaning like my
Embody.
relationship with you should bring joy. It means like if I'm going out to eat or if I'm eating something, that should bring joy. And not saying that food should be an emotional experience. It's more like, what am I tasting? Is it pleasurable? And if not, then it has to have some nutritional benefit, and or both. So I really look at it in totality. And what that has taught me was I'm deserving. Like everything I'm deserving of everything that feels good. So if I'm walking in nature, if I'm walking, then it feels good to be able to move my body. So I seek that feeling of like, what else can I produce that gives me that feeling? And
Mm.
and it is, it just translates over into every other aspect of my life. And so it's not just focused on pleasure with my vulva or in a sexual capacity. Like it really spills over into the entire essence of my being.
Mhm. I love that. It That to me feels like a reflection of something I think that you and I both live and aim to live, which is that we're not separate from nature.
Oh my God.
That
You
that feeling of and sometimes it's an intellectual process, but the reality is we are not separate from nature, and this is the embodiment, I think, of why it becomes political, um because so many forces are trying to make us feel like we're separate from, like, everything we're doing is compartmentalized, but it's not. I love that.
Yeah, and when we really start to like know our power, own our power, and take it back without giving reason why. Like, because I'm here is enough, because I am is
Yeah.
enough. And giving yourself that level of permission and affirmation on a consistent daily basis, the longer you do that, the more you amplify that. Nobody will have the courage to penetrate that. Like, could you imagine the audacity of somebody telling me I don't just, good luck. Like, good luck. I've given up so much to seek that, and been a witness to my personal journey when it comes to like understanding the autonomy of pleasure. If something is no longer serving you, I don't care what it is, and then we need to have that kind of conversation.
Mhm.
We need to be real with ourselves, and a lot of times people don't want to get to that level of deep introspection to be able to make those life adjustments.
Yeah, that's where the courage piece comes in. It's a very courageous moment to like have, especially in undoing scripts. Like we talked about this a little bit offset, but looking at things in my life, that one of places where it's like, oh, I must do these things because it's based on productivity, but I'm having no pleasure in those spaces. And then it's like, if I let that go, it's based on some money or it's based on some identity. And then to me, though, there's this deep yearning of like, what's on the other side of that.
It so is.
I feel like there was a quote I heard this weekend that basically said, the life you want is on the other side of that fear.
It absolutely is. And I am willing to go through that fear. Like that fear doesn't even bother me anymore. It's like, okay, if I'm feeling it, then I'm absolutely in the right direction. Because if I don't feel fear, then I've already conquered it. That's how I feel.
Bit of a kink. That's a kink.
If I'm scared, then I've already like then I need to go further. Like, oh, okay, this makes sense. But I want to ask our audience, like, how are you reclaiming your level of pleasure in life? And it can be in any aspect, like Jesse said, from a productive standpoint, being, everything in society that has taught us to be desensitized or detached and compartmentalizing who we are versus like operating from a space of totality, meaning like being in alignment, and in alignment knowing that you are deserving of pleasure, and going back to our pleasure recipes, like
Yes.
our pleasure recipes. So be radical in that level of pleasure is activism, and stand on that 10 toes down.
10 toes down.
All right, you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of Oh Yes, Honey. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know every time that we drop a new video. Share with your girlfriends. We want to hear from you in the comments. If there is any topic that you guys want us to cover, please make sure that you do so. And Jesse and I, we kind of toyed with the idea of our collective experience of nearly 60 years of working with women in this space. Maybe we should do something, some kind of workshop or retreat, or so let us know if you guys would love
Who
that
wants
from
to join us
us.
in a bigger conversation, like in a
Yeah,
pleasurable space? We know that Tracie's been diving into those pleasurable spaces of
I can't.
finding her spot.
And if I'm not, it's almost to the point where if I'm not seeking it, I can't. I can't. It's like I'm suffocating,
Mhm.
and it sounds. Yeah, I'm so on the opposite side of the spectrum. Yeah. So I just want y'all to be over here with me. Thank you guys so much for joining us. My name is Tracie. Be sure to follow me.
My name is Jessie Remer. Be sure to find me on Instagram.
Yes, and all of the descriptions will be listed in the all the information is listed in the description. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye bye.